Hello everyone, it's Eman and Liz, and today we are going to be talking about how the world is ending.
Yes.
It's just been something that's on our minds. So.
Yeah. Because for some reason, I don't know why, I just keep thinking about it. Of like how everything's been kind of going downwards. Everything is in a downward spiral.
Scary.
I think everything from like the time actually speeding up and feeling like it's been, like things have been going by a lot faster.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that has been going on that's very small, but it just feels very weird.
I believe it's China and Saudi Arabia and Russia who are trying to get rid of the US dollar. So it's actually very interesting to think about because like the US dollar right now is used worldwide.
Yeah.
And it holds a significant power to it.
Yeah, because the exchange rate isn't bad right now.
No, it's not. It's actually better for them.
Way better than Canadian dollar.
Absolutely. So that being said, like I can only imagine how much money is bound to be lost if the US dollar does get replaced and it loses its significance. A lot of people who have trading accounts that trade in US dollars, or even just the value of the goods and services that are provided in the States and in Canada. The problem with Canada is that we're so closely tied to the United States, and we're influenced very heavily by them, that whatever happens over there, it's only a matter of time until, so I can only imagine what's going to happen in Canada. So I'm telling you, we gotta go. We gotta go fast and far.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever had this, like when some days you wake up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole day, it almost feels like, or something will happen during the day, and it almost feels like you get transported into like a different reality or something, because everything just feels a little weird. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But like sometimes, like,
no, I'm thinking if I ever had an experience like that, because
like everything's technically the same, obviously, visually speaking.
But it doesn't feel the same.
But it feels weird, and it just feels like something in here. It just feels like. I don't know, like people are a bit different. They're kind of like, the whole, like the air everywhere just feels, I don't know, I can't really explain it aside from I keep saying feels. It feels different, but it is. Like that's just, I don't know. I find that happens a lot where like when, again, the whole time thing, I was talking to my coworkers and I was mentioning how like an 8-hour shift passes like this. Mm-hmm. And you're like, doesn't it feel kind of, like, don't you feel like time has been going by so fast? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of
time
people...
moving faster is one of the signs, by the way.
Yeah. And then they'd be like, oh no, I just feel like maybe it's because like we're just busy or whatever. I'm like, not really. Like, even when I'm just sitting there...
No, even just take a look at like certain events that happen or whatnot, like you start to realize just how fast time moves away from that event. Yeah. And then when you look back at that event, you're like, it was this long ago?
Yeah.
How like where did the time go?
I still feel like it's like 2020. I don't feel like it's 2023. In the past 3 years, I feel like since COVID.
I mean, we don't do the social distancing or mask thing anymore.
Yeah, but don't you feel like it was almost yesterday? Like I don't feel like it's...
I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of forgot that COVID was a thing. Like COVID for me feels like it happened much longer ago, and
I feel like
I completely forgot about it.
I feel like it depends on where you go.
Like we moved so fast from it. Like, at one point everybody thought the governments are coming after us, and there were all these conspiracy theories with the with COVID, and I think for the most part, it was a very confusing time for everybody because there was so much propaganda going around, and it was instilling a lot of fear into a lot of people, and then people were taking COVID-19 extremely seriously, and then other people were taking it as like it's nothing at all. And then, there were articles coming out about, healthcare workers lying about, the cause of death for a lot of people in the hospital. Just anybody who died in the hospital apparently was because of COVID, even if they passed away due to something else completely unrelated. Yeah. You couldn't really tell what was true and what wasn't anymore. There was information coming from all over the place. Nobody knew what was happening. And to think about how we were at that time and look at where we are now, it's almost as if nothing happened. You know?
Yeah, a lot of those
It's interesting.
concerns that were voiced by people at the time are not really there anymore. I feel like as much like people, but I do think this is also like we as a society move past problems very, very quickly. Like
I think we do.
like the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria.
Yeah, they were everywhere for at least like a few days during the
At
time, and
least
then
a
all of a
few
sudden
days.
disappeared.
And now nobody's really been really talking about them anymore, and that kind of happens a lot with a lot of social issues. Or
Yeah,
not
they
even
get
social
their
issues,
attention
just-
for a short amount of time,
and then they kind of
and then they just disappear as if it didn't even happen.
So that happened with, I think, and I'm not surprised it happened with COVID, because I feel like even though it was an issue that affected literally the whole world.
And it lasted, a couple of years. It wasn't until maybe like the end of 2021 or 2022 where things slowly started to actually get back to normal, because we were in lockdown, then we weren't, and then we were in lockdown again, and then masks were a thing for a while, and then same with social distancing, and we had the restrictions here and there with other things. So it was all over the place. The rules were changing all the time, and it was pissing everyone off. But at the same time, it was worrying a lot of people as well.
Yeah, in many areas it was quite scary from what I heard. How some people like, I forget what it's called. There's like a name for it, but basically it's like a curfew that was set by the government for specific areas, or specific countries, specific cities, whatever, where people were not allowed to leave their house past like 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. or something. Which was like literally you would get, I think, fined or something if you were caught on the street.
Was that in Calgary?
It was in Calgary. I think it was, there was areas in Europe where that was a thing.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say in Calgary, I don't remember. I don't
No,
think we had a curfew.
No, we didn't. But at some point it seemed like it was going to be a thing because of the way that they were like really treating it. I remember like the first time I walked out of the house, or like came out of the house after like I think it was, I don't know, 2 months, maybe 2 weeks. I don't remember. Time is a blur. But after some time, once it was first introduced, whatever, I came out of the house and it just felt so weird being out of the house. I was petrified of like, they just made it sound like you walk out and you're gonna explode, like you're just gonna you walk out and just you know what I mean. So that's what I kind of expected to happen when I walked out of the house, and I was surprised nothing happened. But
no, you know what? It was actually so funny because, like, when I first heard about COVID, I was very like, when I looked at the symptoms for it, I was like, okay, it doesn't look like anything more than a flu, or like basic cold or whatnot. A lot of people have reported a lot of issues after they got COVID, but for me personally, it wasn't like the propaganda that scared me. It was my dad. My dad scared me.
my dad scared me.
Like my dad literally went out of his way. Like if it wasn't for him, like he dragged me to every vaccination appointment. Like he was like watching me like a hawk. Like God forbid, like I go outside just to go grab like groceries or something. Like he would be like, absolutely not. You're not leaving the house. So I think for the most part, yeah, it's actually quite interesting. When you look back at how life used to be during COVID and then how life is now, it's like, it's almost surreal in the sense where you almost, it's very hard to believe that this is where we are now. And the whole world was convinced that there was so many things going on, and now it's very interesting how as a society we kind of just like move past that, but there's still a lot of things going on that a lot of people aren't aware of. And when you look at those things that are going on that most people aren't aware of, it's actually quite frightening, because you just don't know what the future holds at this point. Like let's just even take AI for example. The development of AI is ridiculous. Like it's going, like I read a few articles about how a lot of the leading innovators of our time are actually asking for a halt to the whole development of AI because it could be dangerous.
Yeah.
And I recently just spoke to a friend of mine who's been keeping up with a lot of this AI stuff. He literally told me he's just like, apparently Google came out with, some type of like self-assisting robot that could eventually, do everything for you. I personally didn't look into it myself, but if that's true, it's just the speed that we're moving into artificial intelligence and robots and so forth, it is starting to, especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's starting to make you think of your future. And if you're a person who holds a job and you can be easily replaced, I'm sure that this is something that you're thinking of too, because it's very hard to ignore the development of AI when it's everywhere. Like even Snapchat has AI.
Really?
Yeah. Like AI is everywhere now.
What does Snapchat AI do?
No idea, I didn't use it. I just saw it. It just said try out Snapchat AI or something like that. And I was like, no thank you.
It's very terrifying. There's that thing where it's like, I'm pretty sure it's also, I guess, a form of AI or something. It's face mapping, right? Where
Yeah.
you map your face and they apply the filter onto that. And it looks so realistic. I can only imagine just how much worse people are going to feel about themselves.
Not even like that, it's actually very interesting because I remember also seeing another article about apparently France wants to I don't remember, don't quote me on this, but it was something along the lines of like banning the use of filters if you're an influencer, or basically leaving a disclaimer if you are using a filter.
I like that.
To basically like prevent, insecurities and to, prevent the false image in a sense. So I thought that was pretty interesting too, because, as we're moving into AI and as things are so easy to manipulate now. It's as simple as using an app or, another software to basically completely alter the appearance of something else.
Yeah.
And like deepfakes, for example, it's so easy to create deepfakes. It's been very easy for a long time to create them because of the type of technology that's used to be able to achieve that. So it's beginning to become so much harder to believe what's true and what isn't. And by the way, another sign, okay, which actually kind of freaks me out, is that the liar will be the, basically like people will look at the liar as the truth teller and the truth teller as a liar. And I feel like it's slowly becoming that because we're moving into such an artificial world where you quite literally cannot tell what's true or not anymore. And when you do come across something that is true, it's very hard to believe it. So it is kind of scary. Like the way that we're moving so close, like it's very hard to anticipate what kind of world we're going to be living in just 5 years from now. The development is insane.
It's true.
I'm telling you, we gotta leave. I don't want to be here when things go bad.
I just feel like, I think that is one of the, speaking of the filters too, that is something that's very concerning. I like that. I think that should be done worldwide. Just thinking about all the crazy obsessive, like plastic surgery obsessed society that we live in right now. Not even plastic surgery obsessed, but obsessed with
Just
perfection.
alteration, yeah. It's the idea that perfection is beauty.
Which it isn't. And
it's not.
And we all know like beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? So it's it's very subjective, firstly, but also it's something where it's very easy to get a lot more insecure about yourself when you see people on social media with like perfect skin, perfect this, perfect that, right?
Absolutely perfect.
Because the thing is, I do think if this is how it's gonna be with the filter, I can so see plastic surgery and just aesthetic procedures, that whole field, that whole industry growing to like billions of dollars. It's probably already is, but it's gonna be like trillions.
But it's definitely gonna grow for sure. And I think there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with, if you really want to alter a few things about yourself because that'll make you feel better, there's nothing wrong with it. But there is an issue, the young generation growing up, and the way they interact with each other and its idea of perfectionism and beauty and everything. It becomes a sociological issue at that point, because now it's not even just increasing the insecurities, but it could also increase the risk of them developing, mental illness because of it,
Well, it's that too, and also a lot of the time.
Or mental health, mental health problem, mental illness, a mental health problem.
Because I feel like the thing is, for example, when it comes to appearance and everything, The only reason I bring that up is because, like let's say I saw this one, like it was like a YouTube short video, and it was like this girl who went and got her nose done, but the reason for why she was talking about how she's like, I thought my nose was fine, and by the way, her nose was completely fine, but granted, it's not my nose, so you know. But she was like, you know, she's like, I thought my nose was fine until I saw. She was like, I saw some whatever stuff on social media, and I decided I wanted to change some things up. That was the reason she gave, which already sounds like a red flag. Her reason for wanting to get it done was because she saw other forms of what was deemed to be perfect or really beautiful on social media, and that influenced her decision. I've seen young kids and teens and everything getting veneers done, and I don't know if you've seen how veneers are done. It's
No, I've seen how it's done.
They shave down your teeth, and to the point of where literally you get like
it's just the nerve. It's basically just the nerve that's there, and then no, I don't like it.
And then they and how many teeth do you have in your mouth? That's very expensive, but also
it is. And then the thing is, you need to like redo it again. Like I think it's like 10 to 15 years, I think. So not only is it expensive, but it's such a horrendous process to go through, because even just shaving it down, you know what I mean? Like your teeth are incredibly sensitive when you get close to that nerve. So like I can only imagine the process of it. No, honestly, the standard of beauty, like it fluctuates all the time. And there's quite literally, like if you were to keep up with the standards of beauty every single time it changes, you will quite literally never be happy with yourself. Ever. And at the point, you know, if you're constantly, you know, keeping up with those trends, like God knows what you'll look like. You know, like with the amount of things that you're changing, you know what I mean? So honestly, like, and you know, this is all besides the point. Like somehow we got into beauty, but anyways, I think for the most part, you know, when it comes to, you know, just how the world is moving and how society is changing with it, I think it's definitely, you know, it's not exactly crazy to think that the world is going to be ending pretty soon. How? Who knows? But I mean,
yeah, I think with
it's on its way.
But the reason why the end note to end this whole discussion on, the reason why we brought this up was, I guess, to kind of make you think, if you haven't been thinking about this at all, maybe think about how we're not timeless creatures. We are not ever living, everlasting. Everything comes to an end, and this is not to depress anybody. This is just to give you a little push towards your goals. So if you have goals, or if you have something you're working on,
do it now.
Do it now, and don't wait. Because if you can't do it, even if it's not going to be perfect, just start. Because we're not gonna live forever. So
we're not gonna live forever, and honestly, like even whatever venture you're in, especially if you're new, I highly suggest, if you're new into entrepreneurship, take a look at the field that you're going into, and make sure that you know you can make it work, especially with everything that's going on in the world and what's changing. Just make sure that it won't be something that's going to eventually be replaced by robots. So yeah, anyways, yeah, that's enough for today. But thank you so much for listening. We'll be back.
Thank you. Bye-bye.